Welcome back to Voice of the Valley. Today we are here with Ryan Dietrich. He is a commercial real estate agent, one of the most successful in the Lehigh Valley. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
How you doing, Ryan?
Joe, how you doing, bud?
Good.
So everyone knows who a real estate agent is, but not everyone knows the difference between a real estate agent and a commercial real estate agent. What's the difference?
So it's two completely different animals. I got into this business in 2005. Family business. My mom has been in real estate since the late 80s. My sister's had her real estate license since she was 18. She's now 50. So I kind of grew up around real estate. We opened up a company called Dietrich Group in 2005, and it was commercial appraisal, which my mom does, commercial real estate, and then we added on kind of a residential branch to it, which now my wife does as well, residential real estate. Big differences between the two is, obviously when you're selling a house, you're selling somebody their home. Their forever place is, everybody says it's your forever home, this and that. Commercial is more of a business transaction. It's all numbers related. So you don't have the emotional pull that you do on a residential property. I've sold one residential house in my life, in my career, I should say. Never do it again. Took people through and they're complaining about the carpet. They're complaining about the paint. It's all in my head. I'm sitting there, I'm like, these things are so easy to fix. Like, this is not even something you should even worry about. Are the bones good? So after I had that experience, I was like, I'm good on that front. I'm going to strictly go into commercial. So again, commercial it's a numbers game, and the emotions are gone. Now you're dealing with egos of CEOs and different stuff like that, and power people, but you're not having that emotional thing. People come in, they say it's like, okay, I can change this wall, I can remove this, I can do that. As you know, Joe, being in the construction business, it's all something that you can fix. Yeah. And it's just a different mindset, if you will. Yeah.
So what are buyers looking for most? What are sellers looking for most?
Sellers, obviously, top dollar that they can get potentially for the product. And buyers, they're looking to try to get it as cheap as possible. But the old saying, location, 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 in commercial real estate, 9 times out of 10, that is correct. I mean, you may have an offset here or there that doesn't care if they have frontage on a certain street. I just need a place to park some bodies. Majority of it, if you're dealing obviously with retail, you're looking at demographics, you're looking at traffic counts, different things like that to kind of help and guide them what the hot areas are. If you know of certain projects that are occurring close by, you can guide your clients and say, this might be a good area in the next year or so. If you get in early, you can still buy in cheap, and explain to them what you know as much as you can tell them, obviously, without any, breaking any confidentiality.
Yeah. How would you describe the Lehigh Valley commercial market right now?
Depends on which sector you're talking about. The industrial market, as you guys have seen and experienced with the roadways and the trucks and everything, our industrial market here in the Lehigh Valley, it has started to cool down a little bit, but we were the number 2 fastest growing area in the country for industrial growth, behind the Inland Empire, which is in Southern California. Reason being for that is our land here is still relatively cheap. When you look at New York, New Jersey, Delaware areas, our land is still cheap. But the main reason why people are hot off the Lehigh Valley is the road networks. To us here, we look at 22, we look at 78, and we groan when we have to go somewhere. We have to go to Easton, and it's time of day. 22 is going to be a nightmare. But for trucking purposes, the Lehigh Valley is legitimately 8 hours from every major East Coast port driving. So you have, your Baltimore, your Norfolk, Virginia, Boston, Philly, everything is very close by, and they can still build and maintain something cheap enough here to make those port trips a lot easier.
So you mentioned industrial. What about the retail and the office sector?
Yep. So retail sector is still moving along. It's a lot of smaller users, if you will. There are some big names that are out there. Everybody wants a Trader Joe's in here, and there's always rumblings of where they're going to go and what they're doing. And I've heard it may happen in the Lower Macungie Township area. Still kind of in the works on that. But the smaller ones, which I don't want to really consider mom and pops, but the medium level guys, they're still coming in here because this market, there's a lot of disposable income here in the Lehigh Valley in certain areas of the, Parkland School District area, East Penn School District area, Northwestern starting to gain a little bit of footing there. Saucon Valley, different stuff like that they still want to be a part of. The only thing I can say about the retail sector, which kind of hurts us a little bit here in the Valley, is we are 3 cities combined into one. And as you know, you may second guess leaving your house to drive to Easton to go to a certain restaurant certain times a day, or knowing coming back if you maybe had a couple drinks or something like that. It's a little bit opposed to like a Philly where everything is, you have your suburbs, but everything is kind of in one spot. Here we're spread out a little bit, which makes it a little bit more, it's almost 3 separate markets within one valley, if you will. So the medium guys may look at it as we come into this market, we really have to open up 3 locations. So it's not one location that's going to serve it. They need one for Allentown, suburb area. They need one for Bethlehem, and then one for Easton type of thing. The office market has never been super strong when you look at our area compared to other places in the country. So when COVID hit, we really took a hit here in the Valley on office work and people coming back. I'm starting to see a little bit more activity going on the office sector. I just closed on an office building in December in Bethlehem at $5.5 million. They bought the building. They're going to be tenants inside the building as well. So they bought it as an investment, and then they're going to take the top floor for their own uses. The other issue, I shouldn't say issue, one of the other contributing factors to the office market is downtown Allentown with the NIZ, which is the neighborhood improvement zone. When that was released, that program, it was intended to bring in people from outside of the Lehigh Valley into the Valley. We didn't really see that. So what ended up happening is a lot of the larger headquarters that were on the west end of Allentown, Tillman Street area, they up and moved downtown. And what that program gives to you is it's tax benefits, but those tax benefits go to the developer. So if I come in there as a tenant and I produce $100,000 in taxes a year, instead of paying the taxes to the state government, it goes into this program, the NIZ program, and that money gets funneled back to the developer to build the buildings. So you're getting a tax break. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I apologize. You're not getting a tax break. You're getting a break on your lease rates because you're paying your taxes going back to the developer. So you may look at Class A office space in the suburbs may cost you $30 a foot, triple net. Downtown, they were able to do deals in the low teens. So people are moving their whole headquarters down there and getting that leasing break. So what that did was then that hurt the suburbs because the suburbs can't not lease at a certain rate because of how they bought the buildings and different stuff like that. So unfortunately, a lot of the suburban landlords on the larger projects are struggling a little bit trying to backfill space. I have a sublease right now in the west end of Allentown, 12,000 square feet. And I've had it for a year and a half and had 3 showings on it. The larger office spaces are still kind of sitting out there. There are some companies that are still doing like Regis. Are you familiar with Regis? They do shared office spaces. They're still looking in the suburbs to take over people's lease space, and then they create small offices inside that they lease out separately. So those guys are still out there doing that. But most of the larger corporation stuff, they just don't have the workers back still to this day.
Doesn't it hurt?
Which drives me nuts.
Sorry to interrupt, but doesn't it hurt the business as well, though? I mean, they're paying less rent, but not many people want to drive down to Center City. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more inclined to drive to West End Allentown than to Center City. Sure. So even though they're getting cheaper rent, don't you think it hurt their profit as well?
Well, again, it's the mindset if you believe in the work from home thing. I personally cannot work from home. ADHD, everything distracts me. So I cannot focus when I'm at home. When I go into the office, the synergy, the other people that are there, you're bouncing ideas off people. To me, I think people need to be back in the office. A lot of like ADP, for example, that moved their headquarters downtown. I was in the same building they were in, the Colliers when I worked for them. Same office. And it was a ghost town after I left. I think it was like 400 employees that left and went downtown. But they have a program there that a lot of these guys can work from home and do stuff. So to them, as long as the production is still up, I don't think it really bothers the bottom line there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what their financials look like to comment on that really.
What do you usually deal with the most? Is it retail, office, industrial?
So when I first got into the business, Dietrich Group, I did everything. I did apartments, I did land, I did retail, anything I could get my hands on because I was new in the business. And it was like even deals that I was not going to, particularly make much money on different stuff. I was hungry. Just give me everything and everything so I can learn. We ended up building that company up enough where Colliers gave us an offer to purchase us. So we sold to Colliers. And when I went over to Colliers, it was, we need you to build our office division. So my sister and I went over there and we were building their office division. COVID hits, nobody's going to the office. And I was kind of floating in the middle of nowhere with no business, nothing to do. Because of the deal, how they brought us over, I was not able to do any other sales, anything to that effect. So I made the change over to Berkshire Hathaway and I'm back to doing everything. So the majority of the stuff that I've been doing over the past year has been mostly retail or small, like I should say small, but 10 to 15,000 square foot industrial deals like that. I did do a large office deal beginning of the summer for 10,000 square feet. Did that one there. So that was one of the outliers that were looking for space. The building they were in, I think the city bought the building. They were in Allentown. The city bought the building and they were using it for something else. So they had to find another location. But the majority of the stuff I'm working with right now seems to be the past couple months has been a lot of retail.
Gotcha.
Which, yeah.
So how has inflation affected the market since COVID?
I'm the firm believer of, it probably shouldn't be this way, but I do not watch the news. I don't watch the doom and gloom. I am laser focused. Like, this is our area. This is what we're doing. The other thing I will say too is inflation and anything that affects national, we're like it's strange. We're like sheltered here in the Lehigh Valley. We've never, like the housing crisis that happened years ago, we never got hit as hard. The, like COVID stuff, like, yes, our office market wasn't strong to begin with, but it didn't hit us as hard as other places where there's like these massive vacancies where the landlords are getting buildings taken back by banks and everything like that. So my mindset is I truly do not watch the news at all. I refuse to watch it. I just think it's the doom and gloom, and I think it literally poisons people's brains, in my personal opinion. So nationally, I think inflation does hurt. Getting products out the door, getting stuff, and of course, there's people locally that are affected by it, but it's not the mass levels that you see outside of the Lehigh Valley.
So overall, like let's dive deeper into that. Do you think people are doing better in monetary or worse? Like everyday average people in the GDP,
Everyday average people, I think they're starting to feel the squeeze.
Okay.
But I will tell you that there is a lot of money still out here on the streets that people are looking to place. And we have an inventory problem in the Lehigh Valley for some things, especially industrial.
Mm-hmm.
The smaller guys than the 10 to 12, 15,000 square foot space, it's very hard to find buildings that they can buy, number one, or to lease. These industrial buildings that you see that you may drive by and be like, this thing is still vacant, this and that. They're working on deals. Some of these deals take a year, 2 years to get signed off of. I spoke about this before. I had a small little lease, 1,600 square feet, and the lease itself was 72 pages. So when you look at a massive industrial building, 1 million square feet, these leases could be hundreds and hundreds of pages, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of lawyers involved. And I love lawyers. I think they're very integral part of commercial real estate. I advise all my clients, unless it's like a 1,600 square foot deal or something like that, I advise them to have lawyers reviewing and advocating on their side to cover their butts on anything that goes on. So, again, it's the everyday Joe. They are feeling it. I will say that, and I'm not going to deny that. But there is still a lot of money out there, and the list of people I have looking for certain products on my desk, and I just can't find it, that I've been trying for 6-7 months, trying to find stuff, working on off-market deals. It's money out there. There's a lot of money out there still going.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where do you think we're headed next with industrial? Do you think we're going to head west towards like the Kutztown area, maybe south like the Coopersburg, or maybe north like Bath? What do you think is going to grow the quickest?
The main thing that's growing, and I'm sure you guys are familiar, it's the data centers. And this is what is a national need right now, is data centers. Data centers, they take no employees, really. It's like one or a couple people in there making sure the systems are running right. But the main thing is the electrical use and water. It takes a tremendous amount of water to cool the systems down for data centers. So when looking to put these in there, you need to have infrastructure in place to build these data centers. So when you start to go west a little bit, the public water is less and less available. The electric, you can get there. It's not that big of a deal. It's the water usage that's a thing. So they're trying to reuse properties now that they can, like the Air Products site that's on Hamilton Boulevard. That I don't know the exact numbers. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe it's a 2 million square foot data center that's working through the approval process over there. So again, the infrastructure is there. There's another one they're talking about building across from Parkland High School. I think that may have been poo-pooed at the township meeting. That I heard was 5 buildings at 5 million square feet for that. So again, you have to have the infrastructure. So you got to look to see a lot of reuse of properties that are already out there. Building from scratch, it's very expensive. And again, trying to get water to those sites gets very, very expensive.
We had a lot of warehouses pop up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Why did they pop up out of nowhere?
Again, going back to the road networks, and it's all national guys that are looking for places to store their products to ship to the ports so they'll take them from the manufacturing, or if it's done overseas or here, ship it to the storage place for that, and then they do shipping and logistics out of there. But again, these are the buildings that I was saying you may see and be like, this thing's been vacant for a year. They're working on a deal, or they have something in play that's going on. There's not many people that are just building these things on spec without a tenant in place, because the cost to construct right now is extremely high as well.
You think that's one of the main drivers that we won't get so much of a recession is because we have so many warehouses that people can work at, so many amenities?
Correct. There's a lot of job opportunities here, here in the Valley. What goes hand in hand with that, and as you know, because you're in the real estate world as well, is housing. We have a housing shortage right now. Part of that has to do with the interest rates, because, for example, at my house, we're in my house at 3.25%. I could move anywhere else I want, but I'm doubling my interest rate when I go somewhere else and paying more. So at this point, I'm like, I'm going to sit and wait until the market comes down a little bit, and then we could turn around and sell our house.
But will the market come down?
To an extent. I think we're pretty much, I don't see prices going down much. I just see interest rates going down a little bit. I think the prices we're at right now, especially here in the Valley, are going to probably stay firm. I really do.
I think so.
It's just a growing area. This is going back probably 2 years ago. They had a State of the Valley address with all 3 mayors of Allentown-Easton, and Bethlehem. And there was talks that at this current time, we are 7,000 housing units short. So that's why you're seeing all these apartments pop up. And they were estimating by 2050, I think we're going to be 55,000 housing units short. That's the growth they're expecting this valley to have. So a lot of these apartment developers are they're scrambling to find land to build and do stuff. But again, your rental rates are so high right now. It's not a lot of affordable housing. It's regular housing, and it's, you could be $2,000 a month on an apartment. And a lot of people look at that and like, I would rather do that on a house, but you can't because of the interest rates right now. So,
and what are some of the issues that cause that? Is that from building too much industrial quickly and then not enough residential? So there's no job opportunities, people are moving here, and then it kind of is a supply and demand thing.
Supply and demand thing. Correct. Yep. That's exactly right.
How have the interest rates really affected the commercial real estate market?
Not very much. So the interest rates in commercial are different than the interest rates you see in the residential world. Most of the clientele that I have right now, if they're sitting in between 6 and 7% on an interest rate, then the numbers still work. They're fine. Again, because you're talking about corporations with large bank accounts with them. When you're looking at a person and their, it's their savings and stuff like that, it makes a big difference, the interest rates. Now, when you get into, for example, like the $5.5 million building I just sold, interest rate at 6.25%, it's a lot of interest you're paying on that. So as the numbers get higher, the interest rates become more and more important, if that makes any sense to you. But again, right now, the way, at least me personally, what I'm seeing in my little circle here in my realm and my clients that I'm working with, if we're in this between the 6 and 7% range, generally the deals are getting done.
Gotcha. So can you walk us through the process? So say I want to rent a commercial space, right? And the landlord, we agree, but I want to build out. How does that work with the landlord?
So there's a lot of different items, and this is why I always stress to people again about being two different animals, residential and commercial, because I have a lot of residential agents in my office that refer a lot of work to me because it gets in really deep and heavy, and they don't understand what things you can negotiate on. So you're looking for fit outs. You want the landlord to provide you with some money. So where I'm seeing a lot right now, instead of the landlords cutting you a check or doing the work, they're offering you free rent instead. So we'll give you 6 months free rent in lieu of giving you $100,000 to fit out your space. So I'm seeing a lot of that right now. It takes a little bit of the, what's the word I'm looking for here? It takes a lot of the pressure and overhead off of the landlords and issues where if there's a construction problem, stuff like that, they don't have to deal with. So they'd rather just say, here, free rent, you go do it, you handle it with your contractors as long as they're licensed contractors and do the work that way. Just lost my train of thought.
But when they do actually supply the tenant with the money, then they usually start at a low rate on the first couple of years, and then they raise the rental. So
that's
price, right?
That's directly tied to the index, the CPI index. So the cost of living. So every year, the staple of the Valley right now is about a 3% increase. I've seen them up to 5-6% every year, and that helps the landlord with every year costs go up. So you're getting a 3% increase on your lease, and that helps cover their costs going out the side. For negotiating on fit out space, there's a couple different ways to skin the cat. We usually just they give you the base rent, and they may give you some, they call them TI dollars, tenant improvement dollars. They'll give you some money towards that, maybe $20-$30 a foot. And as you know, in the construction world, that doesn't get you very far. So you can either go back and negotiate, I want free rent to cover some of this cost, or, hey, I want you to fit this thing out. And then they take that amount of money, they amortize it across the term of the loan. So your base rent may be $14, and they look at all your construction work, and it works out it's going to be another $10. Now you're at $24 a foot, and you're paying for that over the term of your lease. To get them to do that, though, too, you have to have strong financials, and they have to know that you're going to sustain being in there. They may not, a startup, they're not going to give you much money at all because they don't know if you're going to make it. But if it's a, ADP or somebody like that, we're going to give you a turnkey building. You just walk in, plug and play, and your employees are ready to go. So it all depends on the financials of the tenant.
So the raise annually for the rent, is that directly tied to inflation?
It's directly tied to that. Yep. It's just the cost of living thing. So again, I've seen them 2.5%. Majority, they usually fall around 3%. I've seen them up to high as 5%. And that you're only charged that on your base rent. So if you look at when you go into like a retail space, you're looking at, again, I'm just going to use easy numbers here, $10 a foot, right? Then you have what's known as triple net. And the triple nets are, this is one way to look at it. Triple nets are you're paying for the landlord's taxes, expenses, everything. So it's an absentee landlord at this point. They got you in the space. They sit back and you cover everything for them. There's other things called CAM charges, which is common area maintenance. That's the snow removal. That's the common area electric, like the parking lot lights, or lights that are, if they're in a shopping center underneath, like the awnings, stuff like that. So those charges, there's no increases on those. It's just the base rent that helps cover that.
Gotcha. And is there any deal that was tough to close and you're proud of, like over your last 21 years, you said that you're the most proud of?
Sure. Right before I left Colliers, I had a portfolio of senior housing, and we ended up closing that deal out at $32 million sale on that one. But it was a good year and a half of every day answering, 15 emails on it, talking to lawyers, talking to engineers, getting everything pieced together. And there was a major, what's the word I'm looking for here? There was a conflict of personalities on both sides, the seller and the buyer, just from cultural backgrounds, different stuff like that. So bringing them together and getting this deal across the line for a full year and managing that as well, that was that was a fun transaction to have. Now looking back at it, during the time it was very frustrating, but I had a good team with me. My sister was on that, and there was another broker who just passed away that was on that side of the on the deal with us too. So there was like 3 of us working as a team going through it. But managing the personalities and the cultural differences and everything was challenging. And now I look back at it, I'm like, we really did a good job on getting that across the line.
That's great.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah. No, I also had a deal. I won't mention any names on here, but we were working on for 3 years. And it was a large tract of land, I'll just say in the Easton area, off of near 33. And when you purchase a property or put it under agreement for a client, you have a certain amount of time called due diligence to do all your background checking, the environmentals, your, road network, talking to townships, making sure you can get all your uses and needs that you have on the site. Mm. So we had 9 months of due diligence on that, which we were struggling through the township. Turned out to be 3 years of due diligence. But every time that you need to extend your due diligence, it costs you money. So this particular client spent over $1 million on extensions.
Wow.
We get to the closing table. I don't know. I wasn't privy to what was said. Something was said under somebody's breath, and it went into a full-on, no fights, no fist fights, but a verbal altercation that the buyer basically said, I'm done. I'm leaving. Burned through $1 million of thing and just walked away from the deal. Mm. After all that time. And I sat there, I'm like, are you kidding me? We went through all this and we could not save the deal. Completely done, gone. So you have those horrible stories that go along with it as well.
Jeez.
So what's the largest deal you've ever closed?
The one I told you, $32 million. And I have another one coming up that's, it should be right around $34 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Getting into some investment advice, what do you think the number one mistake that commercial investors make?
Trusting their gut over data. Certain areas that they're looking at to purchase, let's say, like a small strip center. And they're like, oh, well, it has clients in here and this and that. And I try to tell them, if you look at the tenant base that you're having, they're all great because they're your tenants. But these are guys that are mom and pops that may leave, and replacing that space may be very, very difficult to do. So it's all about data and saying, what these nationals are looking for, what areas they're looking for, what demographics they're looking for. And it's just, sometimes it's personal pride. And we're talking about kind of like individual investors, not large corporations that are doing it. So individual guys just trusting, well, I grew up here, I know we can fill this space up. And it's yes, we may be able to fill this, but it could take us 9 to 10 months to fill this up. You have to still carry this building in the interim. So it's a lot of trusting the data over your gut feeling. Now, gut sometimes helps you in certain situations, but it's the data that's really helpful on investing.
Yeah, the data doesn't lie, right?
Data doesn't lie. It doesn't.
So if someone's signing a lease, right, what's something that they should pay attention to first?
The devil's in the details on every one of these leases. So if you get a lease from a mom and pop, if you will, landlord, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a PAR form, which you're familiar with, the Pennsylvania Association of Realtor form. Mm-hmm. That form has been vetted 1 million times over by attorneys, and it's approved by the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors. The larger guys do not use those forms. They use their own draft documents that they have their lawyers do. Every lease that you get is heavily landlord-sided. You have to know what you're looking at to help even the scales a little bit more, to make it a little bit more fair. So the things you should really be looking at is your triple net and your CAM charges. You want to try to limit those from increasing because, again, you're paying on snow removal. This year, I mean, we're going to get hammered on Sunday. Mm. That snow has to be removed from a parking lot, and it is expensive. So if there's overages on what the landlords have budgeted, then that overage goes back to the tenants. You have to make sure that you're not in a position where it may be a 25% increase. You want to negotiate it down so it doesn't increase more than 5% of what you're paying in case of those situations. That's huge. The subleasing portion of it, if God forbid your business goes bad, there's language in every lease where the landlord has the ultimate say on the tenant coming in. So you want that language to be fair for you, so that if you bring somebody in, the landlord just doesn't automatically say, no, I'm not taking them. or I'll take them and move them to another location. So I just literally had this occur on one of my listings. It's a sublease. I brought in a lab, and the landlord told me labs are not permitted in the building. And I went to them and I said, is it building rules or is this zoning? And they said, it doesn't matter. You can't put a lab in here. They turned around, took that client, put them in another vacancy they had inside the same park under the same zoning. So my client got, unfortunately, he got bent over a barrel on that, and because now he's still paying on his rent. So you want to make sure that language is strong in there where it says without unreasonable doubt that they'll take that person. So that's huge, the language in the lease. And just your renewal is also important. So if you have renewals in place, you know exactly when your initial lease term is up, you know what you're paying for the next go around. Some people are like, I'm just going to take the 3-year lease and then I'll renegotiate at that point. That landlord can come to you and say, you know what, $30 a foot now, and you're in there at $10 a foot. You know you can't sustain it, and your business is depending on being there. You get screwed. So you really have to pay attention to the renewal language in there, and the subleasing language is majorly important as well.
Do you see a lot of businesses subleasing right now?
There's some out there. There's not a tremendous amount. The stuff I'm seeing right now is mostly office. Mostly office.
Gotcha. Yeah. And with the CAM, you said it can increase. Is that annually it'll increase, or just for the year that it snowed a lot? It's
based off your overages. So most landlords have their budgets down pretty solid. They know, I've had this building for 20 years. I know exactly it's going to cost me $100,000 a year to run this building. They know it. So when they give you a CAM charge, it covers that. It's the overages, when the stuff they didn't budget for, the crazy snowstorms. If there was, we don't see that around here, but if there was something that somebody came and vandalized the buildings or did something like that, stuff that they did not have in their budget, that's when you see that the overages come through.
Gotcha. And let's get into you. What's a typical day like for you as an agent, commercial agent?
Commercial agent? Yeah. So I'm an office guy. Like I said, I need to be in the office. So I always, unless I have an early morning appointment, I start my day in the office, kind of get my head around what I have going on, and make a list of all the stuff I need to follow up on. Then you start doing that, then the phone calls start coming in. And then it's a lot of, in real estate, it's perfect for ADD guys too, because it's like you're all over the place all the time, and stuff is coming at you full force. But you have to then be able to dial it in and do stuff. Last week, I had nothing on my books. I was like, this is perfect. I can go in, organize, get myself set up for the next day, this and that. And it was legitimately every 10 minutes, my phone was ringing for something. And it wasn't, hey, shoot me over some stuff when you find it. I need this now. And it was like trying to figure out which way to go and which one is more important. And all your clients are important. You then have to dial in and like, okay, this guy's time frame is a lot sooner than this guy, so I got to put more energy into this one. So I was a one-man band for a long time, and I finally just hired somebody to help me because I've been getting so much work coming in, and I want to be able to service everybody. And the last thing I want to do is say, yes, I can help you, and then fail or not respond, not do anything, because your reputation is all you have in this business.
Did you hire a transaction coordinator?
I did not. So in the commercial world, you can do that, but there's so many people that are involved in it, lawyers, engineers, different stuff like that. It gets a little complicated. I also have a control problem. I need to know every aspect of the deal. If I'm in a deal and the clients are talking to each other and the bank, and I don't know what's going on, and at the last minute they need something, and it's like, I didn't even know about this, what's going on? I don't like that. So I like to be a part of every single thing. Mm-hmm. So I have a problem handing off to a transaction coordinator. At some point, I think I do need something there. Somebody help me with paperwork, at least. Like in our company, we have to upload all the paperwork to certain sites and different things, and it's time consuming. And I'm trying to sell, do stuff, and it's like, now you got to stop and do stuff. So,
because it seems like whenever you're not a part of the process, like me personally, like something goes wrong.
I don't disagree.
I mean? So
I don't disagree.
It's good to be a part of the process.
Things can still go wrong when you're involved, but at least you're there in the beginning to know the steps to rectify it.
Yeah, or it's your fault.
Correct.
You don't have to blame someone else. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yep.
So I want to dive a little bit deeper into ADHD. I have ADHD myself. So what does that feel like? What does it feel like to live with it?
It's I've gotten used to it. I was diagnosed with it in my freshman year of high school, and I used to be on Ritalin, but I have a bubbly personality.
Yeah.
And when I was on Ritalin, it completely took my personality out of me, and I felt like a robot. So over time, I started weaning myself off of it and just trying to come up with different things to do, like to keep yourself focused. But it is a struggle. I mean, you're distracted by a lot of stuff. The phone,
It's a power.
It is a power. It is a power, and you have to figure out how to harness it. And I still struggle with it to this day. I mean, literally, I'll be on my way home, or even when I leave here, I guarantee you, I'll be in the car. Oh my God, I forgot to send this to somebody or that, and you quick do it. So that's the beauty of having a phone that you can do stuff on. A smartphone, obviously, we all have those now. But when I first got in the business, you couldn't really do much off your phone. You had to get back to an office, to a computer to do stuff, and it's dealing with it. It's not easy.
Do you ever feel like you can go like 16 hours straight working?
Yes. If you get into, so it's almost like you get obsessed with something.
Yeah, that's it.
Like when I was younger, I would get obsessed with video games,
Mm-hmm.
and I would sit for hours. And I would look up, I'm like, oh my God, it's 3:00 in the morning.
What video game? What were some of the videos?
Well, that was like Grand Theft Auto. Like,
Yeah.
I would find myself like trapped in that game, like, and never leaving. Like, I gotta do this side mission. That's just stupid stuff. But now if you can harness that into like work, I'll find there's obviously days where you're just like, I can't deal with this. But there's other days you walk in the door and you just have that feeling. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a good day. And you look up and it's 6:00 at night. You're like, where the hell did they go? And you just get yourself uber focused on something, and you can be successful doing that. So it's beneficial, and it's also detrimental to you as well.
I feel like it's beneficial when you have structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because if you're like that, but you're just going all different directions, then it just gets, you know what I mean? It just gets too much. But if you have structure and you can follow a plan,
Yep.
then I feel like it's a lot better.
And the other thing I have to mention here is health. Like if you're getting quality sleep, quality food, quality exercise, your mental is stable, you could do 5 days of work in one day. That's how I feel.
I agree with you. However, it's tough in this line of work. So when I got into this business, commercial was a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I'm like, this is great. I get out at 5, and my wife does residential. So I look at her, she's like, I gotta do showings at 7:00 at night or on the weekends. I'm like, this is great. This past year, things have completely upended on that for me. I'm at the office some nights till 8:00 at night, just making sure that I get everything out that I needed to get out that day. I've been doing deals on weekends, which is wild. So having structure for, let's say, gym, for example, I hate the gym. I'll be the first to tell you right now, it does nothing for me. Well, it would if I went, but mentally it does nothing for me. I just can't get myself to go there. I just find it's a waste of time in my head. So it's tough to do. And I'm always thinking about work when I'm there, which you need to compartmentalize your personal life. And it's very difficult to do. Also being in a family that's all real estate, that's all we talk about. Like it's, this deal's happening, or, my mom's an appraiser. She knows a lot of stuff before I know stuff. So the stuff she's allowed to tell me, she tells me. And it's always talking about work. So to separate yourself to go do that. But then the sleep thing is another. I try my best to get 8 hours. It never happens. I usually can't wind my brain down until about midnight. And then I'm up at 6, 7 in the morning, kids getting them ready for school, or my wife does that mostly. I shouldn't really take any credit for that, but I hear them up. So it wakes me up doing that. And then again, I try to get in the office also 8:30, try to get at least a little bit of structure on that. But if I have an appointment at 9 or 9:30, it doesn't make any sense for me to drive to the office and then go to the appointment from there. But
I feel like being busy, we need to have our phone on Do Not Disturb if we go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you get a phone call and then you totally lose track and you're like, all right, I got to go do this. You know what I mean? I'll leave right now.
Yeah, I personally have mine set at 11 o'clock at night till 7 a.m. Do Not Disturb. But I'm still looking. You still look at your emails. Even if you don't hear the chime, you're still looking at the stuff and doing it. But I should probably work on knocking that back a little bit further and, getting better sleep.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
So how do you set a price for a commercial property?
Yeah. So setting that is, again, data. So it's comps, and comps are gold. I'm, again, blessed that my mom is a commercial appraiser. So I know what a lot of these comps are. Some of the brokers have to rely on their own personal searching and looking. or going on to CoStar, CoStar is the MLS for brokers. It's a broker-to-broker commercial product. That one has a lot of comps on it. The issue with that is you pay a lot of money to have CoStar. It's almost $1,000 a month to have it, right? They want all your data. So then they can turn around and they're selling it to people. So a lot of the data you see on there, the brokers are like, I'm not giving them the full information because I'm paying for the service and they want me to give them free stuff. So you have to double and triple check a lot of that stuff. So if you see a comp apartment building, let's say, right, that Joe, you sold, and it pops up on CoStar at a certain rate, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call you. Hey, is this legitimate data? Like I'm working on pricing out this building. Benefit of that is, Joe, you just sold this building, which means you probably have a client that may be interested in mine. So I'm calling you, confirming the data, but also letting you know of something I have coming up and giving you kind of exclusive information on it. If you have somebody, bring them to me and we can get a deal done sooner. Yeah. But now, data is key. What's
interesting is data is key, right? But you also brought up something that people don't think about sometimes. The egos. Mm-hmm. What's the blend of the egos versus the data? Like you just said, the guy spent $1 million and because something...
They got into an argument at the closing table, yeah.
So how much does ego play a role in these deals?
Depending on the buyer, it could play a big role. And a lot of my deals I've done with the same people over and over again. It's not like one guy. It's like the same companies or different stuff. You get to know the players in play, and you learn how to deal with them. So over time, the egos to me, it's like I can deal with it. It's not a big deal, and you learn how to foster it. And sometimes you got to stroke the ego a little bit here or there to get a deal done. But the mom and pop guys, not as much. I mean, it's a lot of these guys look to us for guidance. Like this is my first delve into this. So that's when you're doing that, it puts more, I don't want to say pressure, but more validity to what you're doing because you want to make sure that they're successful. Yeah. They're successful. They're going to tell their buddy, hey, you should get into this. Call Ryan. He'll help you, or call, Joe, whatever. So it's really fostering those relationships and dealing with the egos, but you don't see it as much in the smaller tenants. It's the bigger corporations, the big development companies, or large corporate Coca-Colas or something like that, where you have a CEO you're dealing with or a head of real estate that their job is to get the best deal for the company. They don't care about you or your feelings.
Is it the ego, or is it more like this is just how they move?
I guess you could say it that way too. I would say, it's just how they operate. Yeah.
So if a buyer and seller are far apart on price, how do you handle that?
Kid gloves. You really got to get in there and you have to be able to. The important part, again, I keep going back to data. You have to know you got to know your shit. Like you have to know the market. You have to know, what the trends are and everything like that. So if you're far apart, it's teaching both sides. If you're the agent on both sides, if you're a dual agent on it, I find it to be a little bit easier because you can kind of talk through, you have that personal one-on-one relationship with the client. If it's represented by another broker, and perhaps that broker is, a little greener than you are or doesn't know all the facts, trying to educate them enough where they can educate their clients, it's a lot. But again, you don't want to insult the other person by saying you don't know what you're talking about. You want to help them and guide them through it.
And I wanted to bring up, we have a lot of podcast listeners that are in real estate, but they're in residential.
Yep.
If they want to get their feet wet and start out in commercial, how do they do that?
Getting a good commercial broker on your side, somebody that knows. There's a lot of guys out there that they call them resi-mercials that do residential and commercial. That's great because they've done it in the past. But if you have, Gene Smith is your residential agent, and you tell her you want to buy I just made that name up, by the way. If you're out there, if that's real, I apologize. You tell them I want to get into commercial, they may be able to provide you with some properties. The residential agents, Joe, you can attest to this too. You use the MLS. That's where you get all your data. Us commercial guys, we put our stuff on the MLS, but it's not everything. Our sites are LoopNet, CoStar, Crexy, and there's some other ones out there, but those are the main commercial sites. So you have to have somebody that knows where to find the right stuff for you and know how to analyze a deal. You may look at something on paper like, this looks great. And it's like, well, let's dive into the details here. Yeah, the rent roll looks great, but this guy's leaving in 3 months and already said he's not renewing. this guy is in here for 10 years at this rate and it's not changing. So you have to have somebody that knows how to dissect that deal for you. So having the right people on your side and not just jumping in. You have, make sure you do your due diligence, you know your data again on doing stuff. But that's super important. The other thing you got to know too is commercial. When you, I don't know what the common is on residential. What's the down payment usually looking like on a commercial loan? Oh, excuse me, a residential loan.
Residential loan, 20%.
20%. Okay. So in the commercial world, you could be up to 25, 30%. So it's more money down and you're talking bigger dollars. So you have to make sure that you have the capital to withstand any, storms that may come your way. Again, tenants leave, you have issues. You got to make sure you're the right team in place.
It seems like way more studying, way more due diligence.
Yes.
Because on residential, it's more yeah, look at the bones, but everything else is like, is the carpet good? Is like stuff like that. But this one is like square footage, location. All this stuff like, okay, who's renting right now? What's their lease looking like?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more technical.
Correct. Yep. And you got to kind of know, like I have buddies that are like, I just want to buy a strip center. Okay. They give me the budget. I'm like, where do you want to be? I don't care. It doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Like trending right now, as you guys probably know, it's like the west end of Hamilton Boulevard where the Shelby is. That is the hot retail market right now. Over there, MacArthur Road still has their tenants and everything like that. But that used to be the hot spot. You got to be on MacArthur. It's now kind of working its way towards the west end of the valley, at least for us out here, Allentown area.
For sure. I agree.
It's that's the area you want to be in. So it's like, if you want to be there, you have to be willing to pay the freight. Cost is higher, but your overall production is going to be higher and your clientele and your customer base is going to be better.
Do you have any, I know you said your mom is in real estate as well. Do you have any mentors that kind of helped you in the beginning?
It was my mom, 100%. So not to dive too much into details, but my mom was a single mom growing up, met my stepfather who was a pilot. I think I was like 3 years old. He ended up getting transferred here to Lehigh Valley. So they came, moved out here. She was working at Air Products and she was the secretary to the CEO. And she just had bigger dreams. And she still tells the story to this day that she decided she was going to get a real estate license and she was excited about it. She mentioned it to him. And I don't even think the guy's alive anymore. So I don't know. I'm not going to say his name. It doesn't matter. He basically said to her, it's like, when you're hungry, you'll come back to me type of thing. Like basically saying, you're never going to make it. And that was like her driver. So she jumped both feet right. And she jumped both feet into real estate. She started in residential, a little company in Allentown called Sheltered Assets. And I remember I was young, but her first deal that she had was a little row home in Allentown. The people were unhappy that the basement floor was stone. Owner was not willing to put in a concrete floor. So my dad went and did it for her just to make sure that the deal got done. And from that point forward, she was like, I'm client-based. I'm going to do anything I can to get a deal done, everything. And she kind of grew from there. So crazy work ethic. And I just, again, grew up around it and watching her do her stuff. I mean, she did the Nestle water plant that's over on Browningsville. It's a 1 million square footer. She did that deal. And commercial real estate is, fortunately, it's a very heavily male-driven business. Now we have fantastic female brokers in this valley. I mean, I do a ton of deals I work with everybody here. I enjoy watching the people that are, supposedly not the ones that getting deals done, getting these deals done. I'm the biggest fan of that. And I think it's great. And again, I test that to my mom, watching her, get F-bombed at closing tables or on the phone in the car, like the old car phones. You would hear her talking on there and people screaming at her, and just watching how her grace and like how to handle things. That was my mentor growing up. Really,
that's great. Yeah, great story.
And still in this business, she's again, I'm not biased on this, but other people will tell you she's like the best, well-known commercial appraiser in the Lehigh Valley.
That's big.
Yeah.
So I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what do you think the Lehigh Valley looks like in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's just going to be more and more growth, more people coming in here, just expanding. I'm actually excited about it. When I, again, grew up here, I moved here when I was like 7. I left to go to college and it was still farm fields everywhere. And I came back from college and I was like, what the hell happened here? My mom's like, we're growing, and just watching it. The other part that's cool is being a part of it. Like, I did this deal over here and that's helping this area. That it's fun to watch it. My kids get annoyed with me because everywhere we go, I'm like, oh, I did that deal. Like, and they're sitting, yeah, okay, Dad, on their phones, like not paying attention. Okay, Dad. I'm like, you'll appreciate this later, because I was the same way with my mom. Yeah. And now I look back, I'm like, damn, you did that deal, you did that. Like the overpass interchange, the Schrin interchange that's on 33. Mm-hmm. My mom was the one that got that across the table for them. She didn't sell it. She did the appraisal work for them. It helped them get their special TIF financing to get it done. So like just cool shit. Like this overpass, your grandmother did this deal, and they're like, okay, cool. But you start to gain more respect for it as you get older.
That's what's up. We'll get into a few personal questions before we wrap up. Sure. What are some of your favorite things to do in the Lehigh Valley?
Golfing. I love to golf. I'm not great at it. I'm like a 19 handicap, but I love it. I like every chance I get, which I was actually having this conversation. I was with a client before I came here. We had coffee and just talking about how much business gets done on a golf course if you do it properly. Yes, I go out with my buddies and screw around and do stuff, but you get 4 hours if you're at like a private country club or whatever, maybe more than that if you're at a public course, but 4 hours of undivided attention from somebody, and you get to know people. And it's not, you don't get on the golf course and it's like, I want you to buy this building. No, you build a relationship and a rapport with these people, and it's 4 hours out there having fun, joking around, making things. And it's, to me, it's the best way to gain clientele and kind of build that. I also like to take my kids out whenever they want to do. My son loves sneakers. I'm a big sneakerhead myself, so we'll go sneaker shopping, checking stuff out like that. But yeah.
That's great. So you're notorious for your sneakers. Yeah. Everyone that knows you knows the white glasses with Jordans, right?
The Jordans, yeah.
So
making big plays in J's is what I like to say.
So what are your 3 favorite pairs if you had to pick?
I will say I love the lost and found Jordans, just because the 85s, the original, they're just unattainable. I mean, you're buying, thousands of dollars for a shoe that's falling apart. To me, it's unattainable. So when they came out with this, I just love the look of it, the vintage look. I love that. I'm a Jordan 1 guy through and through. I have 3s. Now I'm close to 100 pairs right now. But I am a Jordan 1 fan. Like Jordan 1 lows, it's with everything. Suits, dressing down, anything I want, Jordan 1s to me. But they have to match. Like I am adamant on that. It has to match what you're wearing.
Do you have a favorite color?
I like the Chicago ones, the lows, similar to this, just the lows. I love those. And then I have a basic pair of ones that are navy, and I wear a lot of blue. So to me, that works well there too. But yeah. And actually I have a pair of Travis too that I have too.
I got like 2 pairs of shoes, but whatever. I'm about to buy some today. But top 3 restaurants in Lehigh Valley.
Top 3. Love the Shelby. Love that there. Zara, which is coming in. She used to be downtown Allentown. She'll be coming in on the west end of Allentown. Food is amazing. If you like Mediterranean food, absolutely fantastic. And then I'm also a diner guy. As weird as that sounds, a diner. I love diners. Like, you just go in there and get anything you want any time of the day. So I live really close to Chris's Diner. That's a great spot there too. Nice. But old school trivet, like, pop in there, do that stuff. But those are my favorite places to go.
Is it just me or is diner coffee a little bit like different?
It's different. It is. It's totally different. And every diner you go to, it's different too. Like the Starlight Diner has Lavazza coffee. That stuff is off the chart. It's fantastic. It's the greatest flavor because when you go into a diner, you usually get a little bit. It's bitter. Their coffee is not like that at all. It's fantastic. But there's days that you need that bitter coffee, like to kind of get you moving. So, yeah.
That's great.
So before we wrap up, who do you want to be remembered as in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years?
I want to be remembered as a good guy and the go-to. Like, I am big on, if I have to take a haircut to make a deal work, I will do it. I know it's funny to say because I have no hair, but meaning like, I just want to be known as the guy that is not motivated by the dollars in a deal. The person that's going to do the right thing, and you're gonna refer me to other people. So I'm big on that in my reputation. I really am. That's all you have in this life, really, is your reputation. Money comes and goes. Your reputation stays.
Yeah, I feel like you don't make a lot of money if you have a bad reputation.
Correct. Right. And there's deals that you make no money on.
And hey, bro, I gotta ask. Like, if you screwed up your reputation and you want to, piece it together again, what should you do?
A lot of groveling and And self-reflection, I think, is big, because 9 times out of 10, you're the reason why your reputation is as bad as it is. I mean, the people that constantly blame others and don't look back at themselves aren't ready to be fixed. So it's self-reflecting. Why did this occur? Like, I'll do this again, and I'll go back to your question, but I do this again too. If a deal falls apart or a client ends up working with somebody else, I don't have a heart because I'm in commercial real estate, but part of me still is like, why did they go elsewhere? So you kind of sit back and look and like, okay, maybe I didn't handle that the way I should have handled it. And, do that the right way the next go around.
I feel like with any business, it's all about accountability.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And people respect that. If you do something wrong, my wife owns the truffle bar in Allentown chocolate shop. Somebody comes in, they're unhappy with a product you did. You're not going to turn around and blame the manufacturer of the chocolate or the piece. It was me. I apologize. How can I make it right for you? What can we do to make it better? And it's accountability. You're absolutely right.
For sure. We appreciate all the knowledge, though, Ryan.
No, my pleasure, man.
We learned a lot about the commercial real estate industry.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Come back anytime you want.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.